Where was the Yoda action figure in 1980? Well, let's take a look at it. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with a whole new video. What are we discussing today? Yoda, the action figure. When the Empire Strikes Back figures hit, months before the film, there was one figure that kids couldn't get, Yoda. Lucas didn't want to spoil the look of the character, so Yoda was put off. So when kids ran to the store to get their Hoth Han Solo, their Bespin Luke, their Hoth Princess Leia, they couldn't get Yoda, and he was a beloved character. I know there's been a lot of fuss these last couple of years about Baby Yoda, but the same was said back in 1980. People fell in love with Yoda, and people wanted to buy everything they could with Yoda on it. But luckily for Kenner, they did have Yoda in the work. They started working on Yoda back in 1979. Of course, they didn't know how beloved this character would be, but they knew kids would want to buy him. So by July of 1980, Yoda was now being shipped to stores. He was the only figure added to the new line, because Kenner wanted to make sure that stores had him by Christmas season. And to do so, stores were sent 25 Yodas, a whole case of nothing but Yoda. But still, it was hard to find. For a lot of kids walking into a toy store to find a Yoda, if you didn't get lucky and a case just got put on the shelves, you didn't get Yoda. And the release of Yoda was big news, even inside Kenner. Their company newsletter featured a whole article about the Yoda action figure. And for the Kenner 1980 Toy Fair magazine, Kenner gave Yoda a full-page ad so retailers would know, hey, Yoda is coming. And this was a great figure. It came with a lot more accessories than the normal figures did. When most figures came with only one weapon, Yoda came with a cloth cape that you could take off. Taking him off made him extra cute also, if you ask me. Also came with a snake, a cane, and a belt. That's right, a belt. And a lot of people ask me, what's that little thing on his belt? What is that? It looks like some kind of corkscrew. Well, believe it or not, it's supposed to be the flashlight that Yoda picks up in The Empire Strikes Back, seen here. So Kenner had Yoda in time for the summer of 1980. But what else did they release in time for Christmas? Sadly, that was about the only Yoda thing you could find on the shelf. Kenner put all the focus on the Yoda action figure. Again, although they knew Yoda would be an action figure kids would want, they didn't know in 1979, or before the release of Empire Strikes Back, how huge this character would be and how beloved he was. But by 1981, Kenner did get some other Yoda merchandise on the shelf. Probably the biggest selling of all those Yoda merchandise has to be the Yoda hand puppet. Judging by how many of these are out there for resale, this thing was huge. It was all one vinyl piece. You put your hand into it to operate his mouth. But at one time, Kenner was working on one that was more of a cloth coat with a vinyl head. But that didn't get released. Now, also released around this same time in 1981 was the Yoda 8-ball. You know, the famous 8-ball, you ask it a question, you shake it up, and it gives you an answer. Well, that's what Yoda was. But kids would shake the Yoda. I know, you're not supposed to shake Yoda. You shake Yoda, turn him over, look up his dress, and Yoda gives you the future, or tells you the answer to your question, I should say. This one here, too, has a prototype that is very strange looking. That's creepy. I'm glad they changed before that. And probably one of the most famous unreleased Yodas has to be the pull the string Yoda doll. Now I think this thing was so great. I don't know why they didn't release it. I guess it cost too much to produce, where the vinyl hand puppet was pretty simple to produce and pretty cheap, along with the Yoda 8-ball. But the pull string Yoda never got released. And there was another Yoda in the works that used these little cassette tapes to make Yoda talk, so you could get some wise saying. Now the string pull Yoda, I would have loved to have seen that. I think that would have been a hot item for 1981. Also released was the Kenner playset for Yoda to have a play environment. Although if you ask me, it's probably one of the worst playsets Kenner made. Not the worst, but if you did a list of the top 10, it would definitely probably make it in the top 5. This here is just the tree trunk. It does have some working gadgets where you can make little boxes float up like they're using the Force. And it has a little foam swamp. But overall, to me, it's not one of the best play sets. It's not on the level of the Cantina playset, the Death Star playset, but it probably is better than some of those other playsets, which Kenner called playsets, but really with just a backdrop. But again, kids were excited to finally get the Yoda action figure, in the summer of 1980. Kenner would have lost huge sales if they pushed this figure to release with the Series 2 line in 1981. Although Kenner didn't know exactly how huge Yoda would be in the market, they knew they had to get the action figure into the stores in plenty of time for Christmas. Those other Yoda items waited to 1981. So if you ever wondered why you couldn't find a Yoda action figure in 1980, now you know. Let me know in the comments below. Was Yoda hard to find? Did you find him at a store? I know it took me a long time to find him, but I eventually did find him. And if you hadn't seen it yet, check out my video of the Yoda birthday plan, all about my adventure to find a Yoda to win the love of my life. Watch the video to find out how that did or didn't happen. As always, please thumb up so you like my content, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.